just discussing the fact that Becca's hair changed color in the polar plunge from blonde to white.
I think it was ice.
I think mine went completely gray at the shock of that water.
It was a definite shock, that's for sure. I don't even think I could have told you my name at that point.
All I could think of was get to the ladder. That was the only thought in my head.
I positioned myself right in front of it, so
yeah,
when I got up, I was like, oh, ladder.
What do you think about that, Dr. Eli? The fact that all that I could think of was
get
your
help to recover.
The ladder.
You know, you never know what you're going to do when you're pushed in one of those life or death situations. The adrenaline kicks in, but I guess that's one of those situations where you were in the moment and you reacted. But I don't know if that would be my idea of it. It was for a good cause, but I'm not sure if I could do that.
You know, it really was. Now, a couple of football guys down there said, "Oh, it's no different than all the stuff we do for training." They said they come out of the football field and get into an ice cold pool and then get into the hot tub, which is what we did. Yeah. But I don't think they're doing it in 32-degree ambient weather either. I think they're in an 80-degree training studio, right?
That's right.
And I don't know if it's their entire body either. I mean, you have arm and muscle thing. Whatever. Anyway, it was cold.
It was cold, but we had survival instincts, and we made it to the ladder, and we got out.
Yes.
And raised $1,000 for Special Olympics Kentucky.
Amen. And we're here today
talking
relationships.
We are here today talking relationships. We're also taking phone calls 276-2118. Dr. Eli is here. Don't be scared to call him.
Yeah.
He's not going to bite.
He's a friendly guy.
That's right.
He likes to give good advice for relationships too. 276-2118. Shall we start with one piece of email that fascinates me?
Okay.
Because, we always talk about, well, here's where you meet people in the workplace.
Dave.
Okay, Dave is writing a question about a female coworker he's always been attracted to.
Uh-oh.
Thought about discussing my feelings with her several years ago, but she was engaged to someone else and followed through on that commitment. Now she often complains about her husband, says she feels trapped and made a bad mistake. For selfish reasons, Dave wants her to end the relationship so he can tell her how he really feels. What do you think, Dr. Eli?
Well,
interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? And Dave, it's glad to see some male callers and writers because we were sometimes female heavy. But Dave, you should know, first of all, it's a normal thing. Workplace relationships, kind of mere exposure effect. The more you're around people, the more you're going to like them. But in this email, ladies, it sounds like Dave has had a crush on this woman for a long time.
Yes.
And these feelings might be unrequited, and the fact she might not know that, even if she has an inkling. So I think it's always dangerous when you're in a role of friend and you wish it could be more, but you're not sure if that other person is going to return those feelings. And Dave, it also sounds like even if she was able to return those feelings, she's trying to get herself out of a relationship right now, or in the final stages of that. So maybe she doesn't even have the space to even start a relationship with you the way you would like. So that's a tough position. What do you ladies think about that?
I think this has several levels. I think first talking about being or wanting to be in a relationship with someone that you work with.
Right.
We've talked about this several times.
Right.
I personally, I don't really know what I think about it because, like you're saying, you're with these people all the time.
Right.
If not more than a potential spouse that you would be with.
Right.
So
there's no break in what starts out as a good thing. If there's no clear boundary or no space for yourself, might not be conducive. So yeah, it's the idea that it's a workplace relationship, and the fact that he's also kind of coaching her to get out of a relationship for less than pure motives, I think.
Yeah, that's not a good thing. And you asked what we thought about it as if we know anything, but from personal experience, I think it's always a good idea to clear yourself of the previous relationship before you get into the dynamics of a new one, just so you have time to focus on what it is that you want.
Yeah, I always tell people, it's like that metaphor in the plane. When the plane is going down and the oxygen mask comes, you kind of got to give it to yourself. So unless you heal from within, take care of yourself first, you're not going to be good for anybody in any type of relationship.
Life's a bumpy ride, though, and some people, have to go through the hard times to get to the good times.
That's right.
So good luck with that, Dave.
Yeah. Good luck, Dave. Thanks for writing.
We wish you the best.
Wow. All right, we have one more email from Jeff. Jeff is going through something a little tricky here.
Wow. Isn't that cool?
He said, I am currently going through a divorce, and we've been negotiating the terms of the settlement for 1.5 years without agreement.
That's not
Even
good.
though I think this is the right decision, I'm still having sex with her periodically. I don't think there is anything wrong with this. She feels like we need to stop. What's the harm?
Right.
Friends with benefits.
That's right.
What's the harm?
Friends with benefits.
There's a theme in these men kind of sounds like they're writing messages and they're not sure if they're wanting some approval. But in this situation, divorces take many forms, ladies, and there can be the actual legal part of the divorce, which they're still working on, the emotional part, and really the physical part too. And lots of couples persist on in these patterns, even though they're not going to keep it together. And I guess I would wonder, for you, are you continuing the physical relationship because there's hopes of more, that you won't finalize the divorce or you won't move on? Because in general, it's hard to imagine fully moving on in life if you're still having a physical sexual relationship with your ex. And again, that just seems like a boundary you want to keep clear. Especially, you didn't say in your message if you had children or not, but it sends a message, depending how old your children are. That's a really unclear message. If you see mom and dad still being intimate or affectionate, but then at war in these other areas, it's confusing. So I would say stay away from that. And I bet your divorce would be resolved quicker if you did not have this.
It's kind of funny that the woman wants to stop and the guy wants to persist. That would be pretty typical, I imagine.
I was going to say that. He's like, what's wrong with that? What's the problem?
One more quick one. Carla wants to know how to find the right fit when looking for a therapist or counselor.
Yeah,
very good
perfect question. Perfect question. Any therapist you work with, you should be able to call, get an intake interview. You should get a pretty good feel with them on the phone of what they're about, what their orientation is, what they believe. Like we said, marriage and family therapists, ladies, see people in their context.
Yes.
They don't view them as problems. So if you're that type of person, you want to look for a strengths-based therapist, a marriage and family therapist. You can get a hold of them and do a search at therapistlocator.net, www.therapistlocator.net. You could also see a clinical social worker, like we train at the Kent School of Social Work, where I'm a faculty member, and they are again going to look at the person through strength and health rather than kind of deficit or pathology like a lot of psychologists or psychiatrists would look at you.
And when do you become president of the Kentucky Association?
Soon. That's a good question. It's a 2-year kind of president-elect term, then a 2-year presidency.
Cool.
So we got about another year, and we just had a great conference.
Awesome.
And I'd like to thank all those people that helped do that at the KMFT.
All right.
EliKaram.com. Call for more information or call the number on your screen for information from Dr. Eli.
We'll be right back. Thanks for being here.